Is it Adriana back at the corner? Would you mind turning off the front row for me? So it's the switch towards the front, yeah. Thank you. Yellow may not have been the best choice, but I think we can make it work. And if you have a hard time seeing this, right, there's still room towards the front. So if next week you want to come in and just change your seating arrangement, that's fine. But at some point, I would love it if you just stay the way you are now. Like I'm going to kind of make a seating plan. And if it doesn't work, then I change the seating plan. Usually I don't have to. Like it's usually if you just have like a really good friend and you're too chatty, I'm like, hey, right? This is what it comes down to. Your friend is not going to be there when you apply for a job, right? Your friend is not going to make you get the job. It's going to be you, right? So in school, if that is a distraction, we're going to kind of have to just remind you, like, you know what, like we need to focus on this now. You can talk later, right? So there it is. Okay, comparing and interpreting rates. Some of this will be intro to applied and pre-cal review. I know that. Just bear with me, okay? So we have the most common conversion rates. I would strongly encourage you to have these ones on your study sheet. Try to compress them a little bit, but I kind of separated them. If you notice, this is all imperial. I don't know if you remember the imperial system, and so this gets you from imperial to metric, right? This goes across the board, and then here you have like mass and volume, kind of. Well, except for these down here are not, but I kind of try to separate them a little bit. And here's where the kicker comes in, okay? 1 square meter, right? How many squared centimeters would that be? Right? So what I want you to look at is that 1 meter has 100 centimeters, correct? Therefore, 1 squared meter will have 100 centimeters squared. Would that make sense to you if I did that? Right? Because the units have to match. If the units do not match, then you have a problem, right? Because you're not comparing the same thing, okay? So when we square that, we have, right, 10,000 centimeters squared, and that's what I want you to start thinking about. This concept, because it comes back in grade 12 applied. Okay. So 1 squared yard, I'll just say that 1 yard has 3 feet, right? 1 yard, just 1 yard would have 3 feet, right? So 1 squared yard means that we have to square the whole thing, right? So 3 times 3, right? 3 squared is 9. And then the square feet would just have a power of 2, right? 1 square foot has 12 inches, right? 1 square foot would just have 12 inches, but because it's 1 square foot, we have to say, hey, we're going to square 12 to get, what's 12 times 12? 144. Hey, you know what the beauty is in this course? You don't have to memorize that. Hey, what is 12 squared again? Right? Can use it squared. Let's do that real quick here. Grab your calculator. I want to kind of teach you at the same time. So press just turn it on at the bottom left. There's the on button. If you see some weird message right now, RAM cleared or something like that, just press the clear button. You should have a clear button right here. Where my finger is, right there. Just press the clear button. You should just have a blank screen like this. Is that what you're all seeing? If you don't, you gotta let me know because I can't read your Can't read your mind, right? And at the top, you should have normal, float, auto, real, degrees. Check that. Let me just do that. And if you don't, you follow what I'm about to do here. Okay. We're going to go mode. Press the mode button. It's right next to the second. Okay. You press mode, and you should have normal. It should be on math print as well. And so if you go down with the arrows, you go to where it says radian or degree. So let's say yours is set to radians. You see that enter button at the bottom right? Look at the bottom right of your, that's the equal button or the enter button. If you press enter, it will highlight radians. But I want degrees. I want my calculators to be set to degrees. So I actually press enter there. And everything else, try to match everything to what you see on my screen right now. I have to focus that, of course. There you go. Try to match your settings with what I have there. And at the very top, wait, yeah, real there. So you should have it like that. Are we good? Okay. Not a big deal right now if you don't have it exactly. If there's a hiccup down the road, you don't get what I'm getting, we'll just fix it there, okay? So how do you go back to your home screen? Watch here. You see everything that's written in blue or like above the button? To access it, you have to press your second button. So if you press second, as you press second, watch this, there should be an arrow pointing up down here. It's almost like your shift button on the keyboard. So second, and then press mode, which is really you're quitting whatever screen you're in. So if you're ever like wandering off onto different settings, you're like, no, I want to go back. Second mode, right? Second mode gets you back to the home screen at any point, okay? Let's do 12 squared, okay? So go to your home screen, right? Press 12, and you should have the little X2 button. You see that? That's a squared button. If you press that, it should square it like that. And if you hit enter, the answer stays right there. If you ever want to use the answer you just got, you just go arrow up till it highlights that one, right? And then you hit enter, it will copy it, and then you keep working with it, right? Oh, I want to add 36 to it, right? Or divide it by something, and then hit enter. So, and you're like, oh, I want to use the 144 again. You just go up to 144, press enter, it copies it for you. So that's the beauty. You will not have an excuse anymore. I didn't want to use all decimals because it was too much work writing it down, right? You just go up and get it, right? So anyways, one more thing here. Press clear. Keep pressing clear till your screen is completely clean. Another way of squaring something, pay attention. I'm going to go 12. You see this little hat button here? I call it the hat button. It's the exponent button. So if you go exponent, right, you can put any exponent you want in there. So you want to go to the power of 3. Let's cube it, right? You hit enter, and then that's 12 times 12 times 12, right? Right now, it's been a while, right? Summer makes me forget things, but I just remembered something you need to be aware of. So let's say you go 12 to the power of 3. You got to be careful. Let's say you want to add something to it, to that expression. See how it stays up in the power? See that? I don't want that, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit delete. There's a delete button right here. That's just to delete the one thing, right? And then you go arrow sideways for the cursor to come back down. And then you go plus whatever you want to add to it. So you got to be careful with that. That's the one thing that I need to make sure you understand, okay? So it's going to be a bit of a learning curve using the calculator, but trust me, once you get it, you're going to love it, okay? So that's it, okay? Let's go back to our notes here. So notice that as soon as there was, I told you I love highlighters, right? Except for it's yellow paper. So I'm gonna make sure next time it's white. Okay? Because so I don't know if you noticed, right? As soon as there was a square there, we squared it. Right? We squared our conversion rate. We couldn't just say, oh yeah, one squared foot is just 12 inches. Okay, you can't do that. And I want to make this very, very clear, right? 1 meter, guys. Let's say this is 1 meter, right? Which would be the equivalent of 100 centimeters. It's just a one-dimensional length. But if you're talking 1 squared meter, what are you really talking about? You're talking about a square that measures 1 meter by 1 meter. That's what you're talking about when it's a meter squared, all right? So now you're asking how many centimeters fit into this thing, right? And that's why we went 100, because it's 100 centimeters on this side and 100 centimeters on that side. So 100 times 100 is 10,000 centimeters squared. Okay, so that's really what's happening here. Does that make sense? Maybe down the road. Yeah, it's been a while, right? Let's talk cubic, right? So 1 meter cubed. Well, I know that 1 meter has 100 centimeters, but I have to match the units. I'm going to go 100 to the power of 3. Okay, so that is, well, how does this work, right? I just put 6 zeros there. If you're not sure, just go clear. 100 to the power of 3, hit enter, and then you just count the zeros, and there's 6 zeros, so we're good. Right? So we are now in centimeters cubed. A cubic yard, I will use feet again. So 3 feet cubed. What's 3 times 3 times 3? 27. Yeah, 27 cubic feet. And 1 cubic foot would not just be 12 inches, but it would be 12 inches cubed. What's 12 times 12 times 12? Oh, I just happen to have that answer there. 1728. That's handy. 1728 cubic inches. I'm going to use a different highlighter here. And so there you go. I just added a whole bunch of conversion rates for you guys. You don't need to do this anymore. You can just say 1 cubic meter has this many cubic centimeters. 1 cubic yard has this many cubic feet. All right? I just wanted you to see where I would get that from. I need you to see that because we will talk about that more down the road. All right, so let's do some converting. I know you've seen this in IPR. I know your teacher may have done it one way. I might do it slightly differently. Just, I don't really care as long as you show me the work and it's mathematically sound. I don't like numbers pulled out of a hat, like, boom, there's the answer. That's when I'm like, no, you need to show. It's kind of like writing an essay. If you just write your essay, you're finished, like your last paragraph, and you hand that in, would you get a good mark? No, it would be terrible, right? Here, take it back, do it again. So same with math, like we kind of need to see where you got the answer from. So 200 miles to feet. You want to know what 200 miles would be in feet, okay? So I go up here in hopes of finding something that relates miles and feet right there. 1 mile has this many yards, but it also has this many feet. So this is what I'm going to start with, guys. Watch this. I should be a my way or the highway kind of teacher, but I think that'd be defeating the purpose of math, right? There's many ways to get to your answer. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the 1 mile down in the denominator. I'm going to multiply this initial dimension by a fraction. And the fraction that I'm going to use is 1 mile has 5,280 feet. And I'm going to put the feet on top. And notice here that because of the mile being up here and the mile down here, what happens to those two? They cancel out. Yeah, they cancel out. I did that on purpose. It's important where you put the numbers, right? And the units help you to do that. So watch what I'm going to do here. You grab your calculator and you just go, in this case, it's just 200 times 5280. And we have 1 in the denominator, which is irrelevant, right? So this is, don't put any commas in there, okay? Especially if you took math and French, right? No commas. And we are in feet, right? If you notice, that's the only thing left. So that's how many feet that would be. Let's keep going. It's not always going to be this easy, guys. It may be 2 or 3 steps necessary to get where you want to go. 347 centimeters to feet. Okay, so I'm going to go up here. Is there something that gets me from centimeters to feet right off the bat? I don't have anything up front, but watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go from centimeters to inches, and then from inches to feet. Okay, so I'm going to go 347 centimeters times, I know that 1 inch has 2.54 centimeters. That's straight up from my conversion rates up there. They cancel out, so let's do that already. Okay. Right now, if I were to do this, my answer would be in inches. That's not good enough yet. I'm going to keep going. This is the one that most of you know. 1 foot has how many inches? 12, right? So watch how the inches here match the inches there, and they cancel out as well. That's why I told you have highlighters. Up to 4 colors, because it's gonna happen quite often, right? Can I just give you a warning here? When you have a bunch of stuff on top and bottom, I actually go this times this times this. So I just multiply out the numerators, and it's going to be 347, right? Because it's 347 times 1 times 1. And what do I have at the top? I have feet. And at the bottom, you go 2.54 times 12. I'm actually going to go 2.54 times 12. I'm going to multiply out the denominator. That gets me 30.48. Okay, so I go 30.48. And now I will divide and give my final answer. 347 divided by 30.48 is 11.38 feet. And that's my final answer. Final answers, minimum 2 decimal places. Final answers. If you want to give me more than 2, that is fine, as long as it's rounded correctly, okay? So that's your answer there. Is it possible that some of you might have done this in a different way? Yes. Is it possible that your answer might be slightly off? Yes. Why is that? Because these rates here are rounded, right? Some of them are rounded. So, and that's fine. As long as you show me your steps, don't worry about the rounding, or your final answer, I should say. Rounding is still important, as long as you show me your work, okay? Let's keep going. How about you do these 2, or at least one? I'm going to do the attendance real quick and try to get to know you, your names, try to remember them. We'll do the last two. If you want to keep working, go for it. So I'm gonna silently, as I can, do the rest here. Oops. 10 millimeters. There's that answer. Um, One 6093 kilometers, and then 1 mile. That's 5,280 feet. Miles cancel out. I end up with this. Oh, the mouse is right on there. 11,483.25 feet. Okay. I do mention that we round to at least 4 decimals as you work, and then you round the final answer to 2 decimals. Okay. I made this booklet assuming we wouldn't have this calculator. But now that you have it, you can actually go and copy the previous answer and use actually all decimals as you work along. So that would be even better. Right? So that, keep that in mind. Okay, next page. So square inches to square feet. How would I do that? There's not going to be a whole lot of this, but I want you to start thinking of this, especially for grade 12. Apply, okay? So when you have that, you actually work this exact same way. But you're going to notice the square. You can't help but change that. So I'm going to use the fact that 1 foot has 12 inches. Okay. What's the problem here? The problem is this. This right there is the problem. So we take this whole thing and we just square it. Okay, we take the whole thing and we square it. So really, it's 547.2 square inches times 1 square foot has 144 square inches. Okay, and now we get to cancel out the square inches with the square inches. right? So cancel, cancel. So our final answer is going to be in square foot, right? And yes, you can feel free to do just go straight division, right? Just divide it by 144. So that's 3.8 square feet. And you're like, hold it, Mr. Dixon, could I have just, taken the time and just look back at my front page and just use this fact, like 1 square foot has 144 square inches? Yes, absolutely. But I need you to know why that is, right? Because we're squaring that initial rate, right, to something that is in squared units. Okay. 9.87 cubic meters, 2 cubic yards. At first, I just want you to focus on the fact that this is going from meters to yards. Just focus on that, right? And I actually provided you with that relationship. So that is, and we're going to go 9.87 cubic meters. And I want this to cubic yards. So I'm going to do 1 yard has 0.9144 meters. Can't have that. So I'm going to cube the whole thing. I hope I'm not distressing you too much with this, right? But this is just saying I can't use this as is because there's no cube units. So just match it with what you started, right? So then I'm going to go 9.87, right, times, I know that 1 yard cubed is just 1 cubic yard. There's no surprises there. But the bottom number is going to be a different story. So watch this. 0.9144 to the power of 3. And I'm going to go 0.764 dot, dot, dot. On your paper, you can just do that because that's telling me I'm using all the decimals, right? And this is in cubic meters. And now I get to cancel them out. So cancel, cancel. So watch where this calculator is so easy to use is I'm just going to go 9.87, right, this, divided by my previous answer. So I'm just going to go up on my calculator, copy that down, right, and then hit enter. And so that's going to be 12.91 cubic yards. There we go. So not only can we go from linear to linear, we can go from, right, squared unit to another squared unit and so forth. So we can convert areas and we can convert volumes. Okay. Are we good? I'm gonna scare you a little bit, and then you're gonna be just fine. Okay. Okay. Converting rates. What is a rate? Rate is a different units, right? You have different units happening at the same time. So the idea is the exact same thing. We're going to convert our units, but you're going to have 2 different units at the same time, like 100 kilometers per hour. That's our rate. That's our speed limit, 60, right? That's our rate. So watch this. It's just a little bit more. You're going to have to be paying attention to detail, right? 20 minutes left. Okay, we're doing good. So I'm going to rewrite the 42 gallons per minute like this as a fraction. And then you decide what you want to do first. It's absolutely up to you. But I know that I have to turn the gallons to liters and I have to turn my minutes into hours. So I'm one at a time. So almost cover it up. I'm going to deal with the gallons first. I know that 1 gallon has, let me just peek real quick, okay? Is it 3.79? I'm just gonna peek in the front here. Yeah, 3.79 liters. 3.79 liters. And let's do the highlighting thing, okay? So we can keep track of what we're doing. So the gallons go with the gallons. I got rid of gallons now. I'm gallons turned to liters. So we're done with gallons. We took care of that. Now it's almost like you want to cover the gallons and worry about the minutes. It's almost like you want to cover up everything basically, right? But let's talk about the minutes. And that one is easy, right? 1 hour has 60 minutes. Okay? And so I'm going to use a different color here to show that what I'm doing here is I'm tackling the minutes. And cancel, cancel. Beautiful. Look at that highlighting, eh? It's just, I used to not do highlighters until I did, and I just fell in love with it. Because it's so easy when you review. It's like, oh yeah, I totally see what happened here, right? A month, 2 months from now, oh yeah, I see what's happening. So this times this times this. Let's do it all in one shot here, right? 42 times 3.79 times 60. That's 95.50. See what I'm doing there? I'm actually doing it on the calculator with you so that we're not just writing down aimlessly, like you're actually seeing how I'm typing this in. And what am I in? What is left? Liters and hours, yeah? So at the end, it's okay to do it like this. Yeah. And so I like to circle my final answer, okay? There's only one decimal, so that's all you do, or you can go 80 if you'd like. That's fine. Okay? And here's a follow-up question. Now it's asking for something else. Like, well, if this is true, this is a rate, how many liters would you be pumping, right? Or how many liters would there be in 5.5 hours? You've got two options here. What I will do is I will show you proportional reasoning. Do you know what that is? Cross multiply and divide. Does that ring a bell? You're doing proportions. It's two fractions, right? So watch this. I'm going to use this. It's like, oh yeah, I can answer that. Let me just tell you that I know that this is true, right? I know that that is true. It's a fact. I just calculated that. I can do 9,550.8 liters in 1 hour. Then I'm going to say this, right? That must be equal to, where will the 5.5 hours go? Top or bottom? Bottom. So you're like, wait a minute, before we were always doing the opposite, right? To cancel out, this is a proportion, there's an equal sign. You want to match. So 5.5 hours. And this is going to be X number of liters. You've seen that, I know. That's proportional reasoning. You're reasoning in terms of, if this is true, I'm just going to figure out what it would be down the road, okay? So this is my trick. If another teacher ever makes you do this a different way, you go with that teacher's way, okay? You go to the side where the variable is. It's on the right side, okay? You start with the number, so you need to multiply across like that, and you need to divide by what is left. Cross, multiply, and divide. So X would be 5.5. Let's do the whole thing. Hours times 9,550.8 liters divided by, and you're gonna probably laugh at this, right? Why do you divide by 1, Mr. Dirksen? Like, what's the point? Well, this could be something else down the road. It may not be 1, okay? So you need to follow the steps. And so watch this. This hour will go with that hour. Okay, those units actually cancel out. And what are you left with? Liters, right? Which is what we wanted. So we're going to go 5.5 times 9,550.8. Should I divide by 1? I'll just do it. Doesn't change anything, right? So 52,529.4 liters in 5.5 hours. So some of you are saying, Mr. Dirksen, couldn't I just have multiplied this by 5.5? The answer is yes, you could have. But I don't know, there's something about down the road where it's not going to be so clear, where it's nice to have a proportion, right? Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. And if you have questions, you can always ask me. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, we're going to do at least one more. I always have more examples than what I need, just in case. Okay. I think I'm going to do the B. I'm going to do B, and then if time allows, I'll do C as well. Anyways, do you know what MPH stands for? Miles per hour. Miles per hour. It's a speed limit in the States, right? As soon as you cross the border, it's in miles. So we're going to go 65 miles in 1 hour. I like to do it like this. Miles per hour is this many miles in 1 hour. And we want to take it to meters per second. What is this again? A rate. We're converting a rate because you have two different units, right? So I'm going to tackle the miles and turn it to meters. I know that 1 mile has 1.60, and I'm going to have to peek because I forget all the time. 6093 kilometers. So the miles will go with this. And I know that 1 kilometer has how many meters? 1,000. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Isn't that beautiful? And so I've taken my miles to meters, and oh, I'm going to bleed into this, but that's okay. Let me zoom in a little bit. I think I can do this. Just zoom in a little bit more so you can see better. There. Okay. And so I'm going to now tackle the hour. 1 hour has, anybody know how many seconds there would be in an hour? 3,600. Is it okay if I do that? I don't want to do two conversions. 3,600 seconds. Oh, I need my third highlighter. I thought I'd never use it. Not on the first day. But right? The hours go with the hours. And now we've got a big mess, right? But we can clean it up in no time. So 65. Let me clear my screen. Too much going on there. Right, so 65 times 1.6093 times 1,000. So I've got 104,604.5, and at the top I have meters. And then I'm going to go 1 times 1 times 1 times 3,600, which is just 3,600 seconds. Is it wrong to answer like this? Technically, you're not wrong, but we don't like this. Like, we want to have just one number at the end. So I'm going to take my number that I just got, and I'm going to divide it by 3,600. That's what I would like to see. So it's 29.06 if you round it, right? 29.06 meters per second. Some of you are going to take physics, some of you are going to take chemistry. We do a lot of this as well. Right? So it's all connected, right? It's all connected. and your teachers might do it slightly differently, and their rates might be slightly different. Not a big deal as long as you stick with the plan, right? So how long would it take to travel 750 meters? So let me just close this here. I want to have that separate there. How long will it travel? Again, I'm going to use this fact. And Mr. Dixon, can I use this one? Or should I use this one? The answer is it doesn't matter. But I tend to use this one. So this many meters in 1 second. So what is the question asking me? How long, right? It's asking me like, what would the time be in seconds to travel 750 meters? And remember the rule. You go to the side where your variable is. In this case, it's the right side. I start with a number. Which way do I multiply? I have to multiply down and then divide going up. I don't need you to do the arrow thing down the road. It's just now for you to remember. So it's 750 meters times 1 second divided by, I need you to know why things work out, right? Like I like to show how that is done. So the meters here go with the meters there. So all you're left with is in seconds, which is what we expected. So it is really 750 divided by 29.06. So that's 25.81 seconds. That's how long it would take you at that speed to travel that distance. And notice now, was it easy to just determine how to get this answer? Could you have just said, oh, I'm just going to take this and multiply it by 750? No, it's not as easy, right? It's not as clear cut. So when it's asking you, based on this, how long would it take you or stuff like that, I would switch over to proportional reasoning. Okay. Okay. This is going to be your first homework set. Okay, so I think I'm going to give that to you as well, the last example here. And if you flip over, there's a bunch of you tries. See that? You try, you try, you try. Okay, so that is your homework. And let me see here. At the bottom, you see at the bottom of this booklet, what does it say there? Page 3 of workbook. So that's the workbook I just gave you. There should be a page number at the very bottom of this workbook. And if you go to 3, you will see something very similar to what we just did, right? Very similar. I'm just going to say this. I think I fixed it, but there's a big chance that these rates here on that worksheet might be off. So just stick with the yellow booklet. Those are like vetted. I checked. They're all right. Okay. From what I see here, we're good to go anyway. So you don't have to worry about it. So I would suggest you do that because this is not what the unit is all about. This is just a little fraction of it. Then we're moving on to like word problems and renovations. How much would it cost to paint the room and all that kind of stuff, right? So thank you guys. You were great.